Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ELYSE Host Live. This month we have had an absolutely amazing time featuring leading women right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. We are super glad, super proud that you could join with us. So definitely sit back, enjoy. Be sure to share this with your friends. You can comment if you have questions. You know that we bring a powerhouse. It's super positive, and part of the why that I do what I do is helping those move beyond limitations, move beyond mediocrity, so that you too can have a quality life. And I'm super great and super proud that we're moving in this direction. We've had a number of compelling leading women here, and tonight we have another powerhouse. So, in just a moment, we'll get a chance to go ahead and introduce our guest today. We're so honored that she took the time out of her busy schedule and could be with us tonight. So, again, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and post those in the comments section. And as we move through our time, we usually try to focus somewhere about 30 minutes or so. But the content has been so rich, and you all have been so great that we do try to get all of the questions answered and go from there. So, without any delay or further ado, we want to take a moment and welcome Chelsea Clark with the STEM Lab. Chelsea, go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hey y'all, my name's Chelsea. I hail from rural Ohio, and I am so thankful to be here. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Elise, for having me. I'm so proud of the work that you've been doing and empowering women, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. For those of you that know Chelsea, definitely share some comments, like, etc. For those of you that don't, Chelsea, why don't you just, take a moment, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, how you ended up here in Cincinnati.
Oh goodness. So the story begins in Lima, Ohio.
Yes.
And I got told the other day that I had no business claiming Lima as my hometown since I actually went to Elida High School, which is in the village of Lima. I actually didn't even go in Lima, Lima, but in the outskirts. So grew up there as well as Virginia. I am a sixth generation farmer. We raise black Angus cattle and any type of vegetable you can imagine down south and grow pecans and whatnot. So I'm very country and very southern girl. Got Went to Miami University, which is over there in Oxford. So it was great because it looked just like home. It was a bunch of cornfields, kept me focused, and got married and made my way here to Cincinnati because, quite frankly, there wasn't really much back home in Lima to go back to. So started here and worked in as a financial analyst for several years, enjoyed it. And then my daughter came along and ended up transitioning into education, just sparsely as a guest teacher, and but primarily an at-home mommy. Did at-home mommy thing for quite some time, and then this business evolved.
I love it. I love it. You've covered a path, much like many of our viewers here, much like myself, being a mother, having
Mhm.
children, balancing home, assimilating into a work environment, and more importantly, education. Education is so dear to my heart, and we just really appreciate you sharing that with us. So you got here and you're doing amazing things. So today you've got a lot of great things going on. So today, what are you doing, professionally? How did
Goodness.
you get there? Tell us a little bit about what you're doing during the day professionally.
Well, quite a bit. So I am the founder and CEO of the STEM Lab. STEM stands for Science, Tech, Engineering, and Math. And we work with kids pre-K through age 14, specifically in the introduction and hands-on experimentation and exploration of of STEM. We focus a lot on the sciences, the engineering elements of it, and all of the curriculum I've designed is built on problem solving and critical thinking. Everything is hands on. Nothing is pre-measured, pre-mixed, pre-made. The students, have to own all their learning, and they get to, be as curious as they want and make as big a mess as they so please. We just moved into almost a 7,000 square foot property over in Blue Ash, and it sits on the lake. It is beautiful. I can't wait to see all of you there. We'll have a re-grand opening in April 24th on Saturday. And so I have that. And then, of course, I'm the mommy of a 14-year-old son. And that's just an experience in and of itself. And I have a 12-year-old daughter. And so those are, it's been a joy, quite honestly, to just kind of watch them and see how they're taking all their notes. And my son wants to be an agricultural engineer, which makes sense. We have a farm, da-da-da. And my daughter wants to be a chemical engineer at NASA. I said, "Whoa, where did that come from?" And she's like, "Mommy, all the stuff we do in the STEM lab." And I thought, and sometimes we don't realize how much of an impact we have. So that's been wonderful. And then, I also have a few other hats. So I was a business and political science major. So I'm also a city councilwoman for the city of Forest Park. We are the third largest city, Cincinnati, and
Wow, impressive.
I launched our city's first minority community business initiative, and we've been able to. I've gotten Mortar to come to our city, and so they started classes last week, and we develop resources and acknowledgement, and try to help our community, especially those minority, women-owned, veteran-led businesses with much-needed resources. So I'm also the vice chair of the Economic Development Commission for the city. Our job is in attaining retention of businesses, and I sit on SORTA, the board of SORTA, so Southern Ohio Regional Transit Authority. I'm a trustee there. As you know, we just passed issue 7. So that's a big deal, making sure that all of our communities are represented and get their fair share, get their infrastructure needs met, et cetera, and that we really have equitable access to transportation. Ohio's kind of behind on that. And there's a few other things, but
Girl, look, I
we'll leave it there.
absolutely love it. I love it because you're working, and not only are you working, but you're the CEO, so you run the show. Not only are you working, running the show, but you're also a council member. Not only are you a council member, but you sit on a board. And consistently, our guests have really brought forward during Women's History Month a compelling amount of various leadership skills.
Yeah.
So there's this message that those things really help us lead and define the direction that we go. So hats off to you.
Yeah.
Kudos. Tell me this. Let me
you.
just touch the real Chelsea.
Okay.
How do you keep it going? How do you keep going given everything that you do? Moments maybe when you feel like giving up, if you get tired. Let's be a little frank right now. Tell us, how do you keep it going and keep yourself so well poised and moving forward?
Well, it is tiring. I'm exhausted. I'll be really honest. Today, I had to negotiate back and forth because I could not remember what day it was. I don't get the amount of sleep that is really necessary, and I think, what it really boils down to is, what is your why and what is motivating you.
Wow.
In 2018, I opened this company, and it's not that I didn't want to grow the thing, don't get me wrong, but I had no idea that we'd be sitting in a facility where we are. I just would not have guessed that. I would not have imagined that my political career would, so to speak, taken off either. I've started a food pantry for my residents here last year, bringing food bank, feeding thousands of our people. So at the end of the day, the why is about how much can you impact the lives of others. When I see kids, I know the numbers. I know that 19% of Ohio's 8th graders couldn't we're not proficient in math. I know that our numbers are dismal. I know that nationally we rank 27 in the entire, in the international arena when it comes to science. We don't have the STEM talent to solve the world's biggest problem. We don't have the kids that can. We also have a huge proportion of people that are completely voiceless. They don't have folks that are advocating for them. We are fighting for access. We're fighting for just economic equity. We are fighting for housing. The list goes on and on. And the only way we're going to solve those things is making sure that these kids are educated and they have access to the necessary resources. And they got to see people that look like us. You got to see people that are looking like this. And so that stuff fuels me. It gives me all the fire I need. I don't think I even need to mention the fact that my kids push me because I'm a single mommy. So I have to make it happen. It's not an option. Failing is simply not an option. All we will do is we'll get better. We will meet the need. We will change some people's lives, and we're all the better for it. That's what we're supposed to do.
I love it. You shared with us your why, and I can relate to being that single mom. I know what it's like to have to work, bring home the bacon, fry it in the pan, nurture, be there to support with the work, show up at school, keep going. My thing is that you're right. We need to be present, and tonight is an opportunity where we can share, your success, what you're doing, how you make an impact. I'd love to go back to the STEM. So with me being an electrical engineer, coming out of the top of my class at Walnut Hills High School, I was earmarked for the Ivies. But the alumni, if it hadn't been for the alumni here at Procter and Gamble, and one which is now a master teacher at the illustrious Cincinnati Public Schools, they tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, we'd love for you to watch a video." And no one in my family had ever gone away to school, but they showed a video of an HBCU. And I never knew then that this university would be where it is now. But North Carolina A&T State University is the largest HBCU, yes, that graduates and places the highest number of STEM graduates, also the highest number of prepared educators in the state of North Carolina. And it was because of those relationships. And just like you and I are formulating, I definitely want to be and will be a support to you because that cycle continues. We do have a pipeline of success. Tell us about, your curriculums. You talked about them being hands-on in the class. Nothing is pre-scripted. They create in the classroom. You're going live. Share with us some of those activities that these students are partaking in. Do they have to have a certain grade point average, or who is this really for at the STEM lab?
Oh, that's a good question. And I will just touch really quick back on the previous, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I know you asked me about how do I handle it, how do I do it. The why fuels me, but I do not want anybody to get it. You mustn't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted.
I probably miss and drop more balls than I care to admit. I miss conferences for my kids. I'm late to pick them for practice. It is not perfect. And the promise and commitment I made, I make to them is that mommy is going to absolutely be there and move every mountain and, tackle every obstacle I can to make sure that you have the best pathway. So a lot of it's got to do with, on Sunday, we have to plan together. We make sure that we're try to be as grounded with them as we can. We all have a calendar and we, talk about the calendar. I take them out to a fancy dinner, I take them out so that we can build that relationship, but also try to plan for our week and figure out what's what, because it is really hard. And I have days that I am just, quite frankly, I don't want to do anything. And so it's tough. I have those days. I would say maybe a few times a month, maybe three sometimes a month. So it gets hard. But I also have a therapist. I have a wonderful therapist, and it's great because it's someone that's just objective, and I can just go through my layers of different things, and I can just get it on there. wrong with that at all. Mental health is absolutely it is so important, and I want everybody to know that, guess what? You're overworked, you're tired, you're underpaid, you bought a job, it's crazy, and you can get that help. So there's that to give you all
Very good. Yes, good. That's good stuff. Good transparency, because that's what
yeah.
we need to hear is the reality
Hmm.
behind it. Because sometimes we make it look so easy, and really
Yeah.
it's hard.
My
It's
mom
hard.
actually said that. She's like, you just make it look easy. I think you just should just look like you struggle a little more. I said, I am struggling, but these brows, I just made these brows so well.
Yes,
but,
yes.
but yeah, so yeah, and my son is a future Aggie. He wants to go to UN, North Carolina A&T. They actually are the #1 school in the distribution of engineering degrees for African Americans. And so, in our facility, we have our programs are for anyone. Do we have an emphasis, or do we have certain programming that's specially designed to kind of reach girls and minorities? Absolutely, because those are the ones that have the hugest gaps in proficiency and mastery, and then just in access, right? And even how do I've never even done something like this and being introduced to it. So we certainly have that. But our programs are for anyone. Therefore, the kid that's struggling in school and just isn't quite getting it. Therefore, the little nerdy kids like myself, I'm a little nerdy kid. On a Friday night, I'm probably in my lab trying to create another experiment. Therefore, it's a safe place for them, and it's for the brainiac kids. So we work with Project Connect, which is the homeless school population in Cincinnati Public Schools. We've brought their math scores up by 12% in under 4 months. So we did that, and then guess what? We go switch right on over to Bethany, which is a private school, right? It's pretty fancy and expensive, and we've made gains there. So we've got a whole year program coming out that rolls out next year for them, and we've got a summer program. The curriculum again is about problem solving. It's about having a growth mindset. The biggest obstacle to American kids is the fact that they just don't think they can do it. They
Wow.
can do it. They don't have the perseverance and the grit that a lot of other countries, right, have. If you go to Asia, you may get 2 problems a day, and guess what? You got to sit there and you got to figure it out. But our kids, it's kind of like, goodness, I screwed this up for the second time in a row, and I'm done. I don't do no more. And that's not the problem. It is a beautiful challenge, and we're just going to exercise and build those brain muscles, and we're going to get there. And that happened multiple times this week in our spring break camps. Engineer Irene, she was so upset. She was doing a geometric puzzle that we have been doing. It's got layers, and she said, I just can't do it. And she started crying. And I said, honey, yes, you can. I said, we can't say can't. This is just, it is so good for you because your brain is learning how to do new things. And
I
she
love it.
kept on the 4th time that baby got it, and she was like, yes, and she's high-fiving me, and I said, yes, because you always can. And when she got picked up by her mommy, she told mommy, I will never say I can't, because I can. It was just a good challenge. And then she came the next day and said, Miss Chelsea, can I have the hard one? I want the hard one because I can do it. That is the stuff that you cannot put a dollar on. You
Wow.
that's what you're doing. You got to build their confidence so they feel like they're empowered to go tackle the problems. We will not see Einstein unless we get there. We can't.
So I'm sure all of this, is on the website. What's next? You talked about, your spring break camps. You've got some summer activities. Talk us through maybe some upcoming events and where people can find out about these activities.
Thank you. So you can go to www.cincy.com. Right now, we are registering for summer break camp. It is only $30 for a deposit for summer camp, and payment is not due until April. And so we have 9 whole weeks of summer camp. We've got around the world. We've got I Spy Camp, which is a detective crime scene type camp.
Hmm.
We've got Candy Camp. We've got a whole summer full of a lot of fun things going on. And we have our rebrand opening now that we moved into our facility, which is much larger. We've got a science lab and a cooking lab. So we have Little Chef Cooking. We have yoga studio. We have the art lab, which is the Rainbow Art Studio. And then we have our maker space where we do, all sorts of engineering activities. And then we have a lot of outdoor space now so that we can really delve into our agricultural science and environmental sciences. That will be on Saturday, April 24th. It is in Blue Ash. We're across the lake from the Envision Cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And then also in April, we have our classes roll out for the first time, our STEAM Little Einsteins and Katherine Johnson scientist classes. And we also have a new program that I am absolutely excited about. This is for our teenage girls. It is an exclusive teenage girls program called Hip Hop Steamers. So they will have hip hop yoga. After that, we'll do nutritional cooking and science experiments.
I love it. Wow, fun. Lots of great events upcoming. I tell you what, when you get ready to launch these activities, or if you need me, please don't hesitate to reach out. Having sat on the board at North Carolina A&T, we launched a Preeminence 2020 campaign,
Ooh,
which really helped to fund a lot of our new development. We've got our new CAES building in partnership with some of the other local universities. In addition, just the campus, our research, we're getting lots of research dollars. We have our all-time highest number of students from the Cincinnati area and throughout the Midwest area, where we're really getting our top talent into these programs. And we do develop a pipeline where they get internships and permanent placement throughout their career. Much more so,
really?
they end up going on and completing their master's program as well. So who knows what can formulate out of this. I just
What is
think
it?
that what you were doing, Chelsea, is groundbreaking.
Thank
It's
you. We are the
imperative.
only privately owned full service STEM center in the region.
Wow. And see, that's my thing is, this is groundbreaking. Innovation is imperative. If we didn't have dreamers, creators, those that were willing to go and come up with something new, we wouldn't have what we have today. So just this is really good to hear. And I'm sure our viewers very much agree. So, you
Oh,
know, go ahead. You're about to say something.
well, I was going to say, since you brought up an excellent point. So the other arm of what the STEM lab does is we have to be really, really intentional about creating pathways all the way to college for our kids. So we have been successful. I am so excited. We have one young lady that is now at Miami University. And we have another young lady that got accepted at Purdue and but is actually going to become a Bearcat in engineering. Those two young ladies, the year before last and this year, received the coveted STEAM endorsement from the state of Ohio. That gets added to their diploma, okay, their high school, and that aids in scholarships. We have
Mm.
almost $100,000 in scholarships for those two ladies alone because they were able to get field experience with my company. So when you talk about creating these pathways, I would love to have that, conversation and how we could, facilitate a real strong partnership. Because if these babies are going to, spend years in my program and developing through curriculum and education and et cetera, then they deserve to have every dollar they can.
Mm-hmm.
I would love that.
Absolutely. And they have an early development program, which allows them to get those college credits while they're in high school as well. But
Yep.
we can definitely tap in. We had a viewer, Angela. She's also a Cincinnati Public Schools graduate who ended up at
Mhm.
an HBCU. She put a comment out. I love HBCUs.
Yeah.
So those are definitely key stakeholders. It's something evolving
Oh
It's
yeah.
something that people are gravitating towards because they see that there's traction there, and then there's also results based on the effort and the support that's put behind. So let's
Yeah.
talk about. I want to kind of transition and talk a little bit about. You're making history in terms of for the city of Cincinnati, for our county, for Hamilton County, with this whole STEM lab, the schools. You've got your current activities. If you were to kind of fast forward down the road, and let's say 5 years later, where do you see the STEM lab further down the road? Maybe about 5 years out or so.
Yeah, so we hope that by that time we'll have a minimum of one, but the goal is two more locations in two other cities. Uh,
Wow.
so that would be the primary goal.
I love it. I love it. Now, talk to me, transitioning away from the STEM lab. What do
Mhm.
you have going on as a councilwoman? What's going
Mhm.
on in the city? What are some of the challenges?
Mhm.
How are you balancing that as well? So,
Yeah, so we've got Forest Park is really unique. If you're a native here, you realize that Forest Park ain't what it used to be. We all know this, right? um, and so you've got a very interesting mix. We have one of the no, we have the highest diverse populations of any other municipality in Greater Cincinnati. We've got a significant, of course, African American population. We have a Bhutanese. We have a very large Bhutanese population, African, Hispanic, etc. And so that really makes for some great opportunities, I believe. So, as the vice chair of the Economic Development Commission, when I launched the Minority Business Initiative, I had all intentions of making Forest Park, be on the map for startup companies, specifically minority. So, what I'm creating is an innovation hub, uh, tech hub. We've got our school district that, as you know, has just gotten new buildings, and the I want for all of those students to be able to start here and to be able to stay here. So creating again those pathways for students to either become entrepreneurs, start their businesses, or work in tech or work in medicine. It needs to happen here in Forest Park, and Forest Park needs to be simultaneously known with tech and innovation and startup for minorities. So we are working on some really great things. The partnership with the library, and that they're going to be building some new libraries. It looks like that I've been working on the front of that, but the building that the library is in, we will be able to have a home for my Minority Business Initiative and Innovation Hub. And so
wow.
that is what that's where the bulk of my work is. I'm also the chair for public safety. So that includes fire and police. As you well know, there's a whole lot of stuff going on with the police. Thankfully, we're kind of cushioned from that because we just have a phenomenal police force. I will say that in terms of how much our community or our police have community engagement, it is really high. But there's a few areas that we can get better on, and so that's what I'm helping us to get body cameras, interviewing the police, and having community conversations so that people understand, hey, this is where they're coming from, this is where we are. How do we make sure that we build that trust, and that you also are making sure that you're making strides when it comes to bringing minorities onto our force, because our police force should resemble in some ways our community. It
Yes.
doesn't yet, but those are the things that our Chief Arns is excited about and making strides. They went up to Cincinnati, or oh goodness, Central State, to go recruit
Hmm.
for
Hmm. Oh,
people.
good.
And
That's very
I was
good.
so happy. So yeah, so we're making strides in that. I know you all know about these taxes here. We're not gonna have that tax talk right now, but please know that what we are doing and what I am doing is really trying to create as much
Oh.
and extend and enhance your quality of life as possible, to try to max it, because it is a burdensome situation that quite frankly is just doesn't have any easy answers.
I love it. I love it. So you shared some really great information here. We've touched on several different aspects about you. Hey, what do you do for fun? How do you get fun in with
Oh
everything you have
Lord,
going on?
fun. Oh
Fun,
we.
fun, fun. How you get fun
I
in?
am. So I. It's so funny. So I recently started this thing where I try to find my happy place or something, and it is coffee. So I am a coffee connoisseur. I'm telling you.
Okay.
So if I have a really great cup of coffee, that is very special to me, and that time is very nice. So I enjoy that, and I'm a foodie. I enjoy food. I really enjoy cooking, especially new recipes. And if I taste something someplace, I try to replicate it. So my kids and I do that. I love camping, yes, in an actual legit tent. But I like a cabin. I mean, cabins are easier. But love cabins and camping and being on the lake. I love being outside. I love taking off my heels and soaking it up, sitting by the. I'll sit in the by the fire pit in the morning with a cup of coffee and a robe and the cat.
Okay. Yes. Well, we'll have to invite you out when we do the line dancing. There's a lady, Lisa, happens to be my cousin. She does the camping because being in Texas for 20 some odd years, we're
Mm-hmm.
definitely outdoors. We'll go out,
Yes.
hunt.
Yes.
We just do all kinds of fun
Oh,
stuff.
you hunt?
I'm
What
with
do you
you on
hunt?
that. Yes.
Oh man, so my son shot his first squirrel. I squirrel hunt now. I haven't been. My son rabbit hunts and squirrel hunts and deer hunts, but I only do squirrel hunting, and I can
I
skin
love
those
it though.
squirrels. I skin those squirrels and gut them, and then I fry them.
Absolutely,
And we fish.
absolutely.
We do a lot of fishing.
Yes, fishing is
Hmm.
definitely interesting. So we're outdoorsy as well. I love that. You have so much to share. You talked about your why, but you're making history. It couldn't be a better time to bring you on. You've made time for us. We definitely got to go out and maybe get coffee as things open up. What's your take on the vaccine given the pandemic? Tell me your position on that.
Woo. Well, I am a proponent of it. My from a public safety standpoint, I'm absolutely for it. I agree with it, and I am going to get it. Uh, from a how do I say, maybe a familial or an advocacy standpoint, this is what I want us to know. As Black women, as Black folks, it is always going to be traditionally hard, um, to access quality healthcare, to access equity in health. And the situation, so my mom lives in Lima. I'm from Lima or outside of Lima. And my mom calls me and she was just so upset. She was almost in tears. My stepdad had gotten the vaccine and she kept calling. She couldn't get through to get this vaccine.
Mm,
And she's 65. So
mm.
I'm like, what is going on? And she's just like, I just don't, she's basically trapped in the house. She can't, she's terrified to do anything because she can't get this vaccine. And so I said, Mama, let me call you right back. I called up to the hospital. We won't name the name. I called the hospital and I said I did not curse, but I was
Uh-huh.
stern. And I said, now, what we are not going to do is prevent those that are age appropriate from accessing
Come
this
on.
vaccine. I said, so what I expect is a time frame now
Yes.
so that my mama can come in. Do you know that was on a Thursday? I talked to mommy, and on Monday, they had scheduled her appointment for Monday and her second appointment.
Wonderful.
I called my mom back and said, Mommy, your appointment's this day. I gave her all the information. She cried. She cried.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
When she
Mhm.
got there, out of the 40 people in the waiting room, she was the only person of color, not the only Black, the only
Mm.
person of color. So I'm telling
Mm.
you, as women, as sisters, you have to look out for people. If you have an elderly neighbor and you need to ask them, hey, what's going on? Can you get it? Are you having any issues? And you need to intercede on their behalf because they're
Yes.
scared. They may not know the proper channels, and it is up to us to keep them all safe.
Wow, I love it. We could go on my Facebook page for those of you that are watching. If you're wondering here in Cincinnati how to get the vaccine, definitely reach out to me. Our church, our First Lady, has done an amazing job of teaming with other First Ladies in the community, along with the mayor's wife. She does the health initiative, the health fair. Next month is National Minority Month. So all of my live casts will be centered around practitioners, what's going on in our community with our health. And so you'll get a chance to touch bases with those that are trainers, those that are doing key events, really talking about our health because, the better we are as a person, the better we can be to our community. And it's imperative if we know better, we can do better. So next month, that's what we have coming. Chelsea, you have shared a great amount of information. You're doing amazing things. Keep making history. Do you have any closing remarks that you'd love to share with our viewers about anything that we've discussed this evening?
Oh, thank you. Well, no, initially, or I'm sorry, first and foremost, just thank you so much, Elise. I hope that Cincinnati recognizes and understands the impact that you're making, the ability for you to create platforms for women, especially women of color that really so desperately deserve and need their voice heard. I really really appreciate that, and so my closing remarks are just in honor of you, my dear lady. This is
Oh,
Women's History Month, and you too are making history. I don't know the numbers. I love stats. I don't know the numbers about women in broadcasting, but I would assume that for Black women, it is the numbers aren't high, and they certainly don't have longevity. And so I am so proud of you. You handle it with poise. You're good at what you do. The way you followed up with me, the way you reached out, it was
oh,
professional. You look great when you're doing it, and it makes me so proud. I'm so happy to be
oh.
here.
I
That's
really
all.
appreciate that. And really, the honor is all ours. I'll tell you, for those of you that are watching, next week, every day next week, we have someone, a full house. We're coming with Tiffany Hardy. She is a pillar behind the scenes for the city of Cincinnati.
Mhm.
She makes things happen. She has really helped direct me for next month in terms of, and that's what we do is we team up, like
Mm.
Chelsea has said, and work together. Then we're bringing in Sherry Hughes, a survivor of cancer, a
Mm.
meteorologist, national powerhouse. After her, then education is my platform. Without my education,
Yeah.
where would I be? And it's been definitely an amazing opportunity to be a product from Cincinnati Public Schools,
Mhm.
to graduate from the top academic school out of the top of my class in the state of Ohio, but to be taught by Miss Sharon Draper. And she's going to close us out on the
Yes.
31st. So
Oh
we've got
wow.
some leading ladies next week. And for those of you all that are tuning in, we so appreciate you. Please share this with others. This is Elise, and I'll tell you this again as I close out. My why, I do this to help people move beyond any limitations, move beyond mediocrity, so that you and your family too can have a quality life. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions for Chelsea, go out to her website. It's at the bottom of the screen here, CincyStemLab.com. If you're in her area, she is a council member. She does sit on a board. Use her in terms of advocacy. Like she said, tap into your neighbors. Chelsea, the honor has been all ours. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you as well. Have a good night.